I stared at my phone screen in complete disbelief. The college savings account I had built for my 14-year-old daughter, Emma, showed a balance of $0 and 0 cents, $150,000 gone. 8 years of working double nursing shifts, skipping vacations, buying secondhand clothes, eating ramen noodles for dinner, all vanished. My hand started shaking as my phone rang. Mom's number flashed on the screen. I answered with trembling fingers. Her voice came through cheerful and mocking. "Thanks for funding your sister's wedding, sweetie. Madison deserves a perfect day more than Emma needs college anyway." The line went dead. My heart pounded as I drove to First National Bank, praying there had been some terrible mistake. The parking lot felt like quicksand under my feet as I rushed through the glass doors toward the customer service desk. "There must be an error," I told Janet, the branch manager who had helped me open Emma's account years ago. "Someone has stolen my daughter's college money." Janet's expression grew somber as she pulled up the account details on her computer screen. "I'm so sorry, Rose, but the withdrawal was authorized by Patricia Williams. She's listed as a joint account holder with full access privileges." The words hit me like a physical blow. "That's impossible. I never added her as a joint holder." "Actually, you did," Janet said gently, scrolling through the account history. "When you opened this account at 18, your mother was automatically added as a joint holder because you were listed as her dependent. You never removed her access." The memory came flooding back. I had been so young, so trusting. Mom had insisted on coming with me to the bank, said she wanted to help me learn about financial responsibility. I never imagined she would someday use that access to steal from her own granddaughter. The transfer was made 3 days ago to an account registered under Madison Williams Chen for wedding planning expenses, Janet continued. $150,000 transferred electronically. I felt sick. Madison was getting married next weekend, and apparently I was paying for it without even being invited to the ceremony. 20 minutes later, I stood on Mom's front porch in the affluent Highlands Ranch neighborhood, watching delivery trucks unload crystal chandeliers and white silk draping. The house buzzed with wedding preparation activity. Florists carried towering arrangements of white orchids and baby's breath. Caterers wheeled in silver serving trays and fine china. Mom answered the door wearing a powder blue dress suit and a satisfied smile. "Rose, what a lovely surprise. Come to help with wedding preparations." "You stole Emma's college fund," I said, my voice barely controlled. "Stole is such an ugly word," Mom replied, stepping aside to let me enter. "I borrowed money from our family account to give Madison the wedding she deserves. You should be grateful I included you in such a meaningful family contribution." The living room had been transformed into wedding planning headquarters. Sample invitations, flower arrangements, and catering menus covered every surface. A wedding dress hung from the chandelier in its protective bag, the price tag still attached, $4,999. Madison needed a proper venue. Mom continued settling into her leather armchair. The country club required a $50,000 deposit. Then there's catering for 200 guests at $150 per person. The photographer costs $12,000. Madison's dress, the flowers, the musicians, the honeymoon in Tuscany. These things add up, and Madison shouldn't have to compromise on her special day. That money was for Emma's education, I said, struggling to keep my voice level. "I've been saving for 8 years. Emma is only 14. She has plenty of time to figure out college funding. Scholarships, student loans, work-study programs. Plenty of children manage without wealthy parents bankrolling their entire education." The front door opened and Madison burst in carrying shopping bags and radiating excitement. At 26, she had Mom's delicate features and Dad's tall frame. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless. "Rose," she exclaimed, dropping her bags to hug me. "I'm so glad you're here. Wait until you see what I found for the bridesmaids' luncheon." She pulled out silver picture frames and monogrammed napkins. "Everything has to be perfect for Tyler's family. His parents are flying in from Connecticut, and his father owns 3 law firms." "Madison." I said carefully. Did you know where the money for your wedding came from? Her face clouded with confusion. What do you mean Mom said the family wanted to contribute to make sure I had a beautiful ceremony? She said you specifically wanted to help pay for everything because you love me so much. I looked between Madison and Mom, understanding dawning. Madison genuinely believed this was a family gift. She had no idea Mom had stolen Emma's college fund. I never gave permission for this, I said. Mom's expression hardened. You're being dramatic, Rose. Family helps family. Madison is getting married once in her lifetime, and she deserves everything to be perfect. Emma will find her own way to pay for college just like millions of other students. Madison looked between us, her excitement fading into worry. Wait, what's happening, Rose? You didn't agree to help with the wedding. Before I could answer, Mom stood and guided Madison toward the kitchen. Don't worry about Rose, sweetheart. She's just having some financial stress at work. You focus on your wedding preparations. I followed them into the kitchen where wedding planning binders covered the granite countertops. Mom had organized everything with military precision. Vendor contracts, payment schedules, guest lists, seating charts. This wasn't impulse spending. This was a calculated, months-long plan. Rose works at the hospital, Mom told Madison. Nurses make decent money and she's been saving for years. She can afford to be generous for her sister's wedding. That's when the full scope of Mom's manipulation became clear. She hadn't just stolen the money. She had created an entire narrative where I was the generous older sister voluntarily funding Madison's dream wedding. She had positioned herself as the loving mother coordinating family contributions, not the thief who had violated my daughter's future. I needed answers that Mom wouldn't give me. The next morning, I drove to Madison's apartment in downtown Denver, determined to have an honest conversation without Mom's interference. Madison lived in a converted warehouse loft with exposed brick walls and floor-to-ceiling windows. She answered the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her hair in a messy bun. Without makeup, she looked younger, more vulnerable. Rose, I'm so confused about yesterday, she said, leading me to her kitchen table. Mom said you were upset about wedding expenses, but I thought you wanted to help. I sat across from her, choosing my words carefully. Madison, I never agreed to pay for your wedding. Mom took Emma's college money from a savings account without my permission. Madison's face went white. What do you mean she took it, like stole it? $150,000. Every penny I've saved for Emma's education over the past 8 years. Madison stared at me in horror, then jumped up and retrieved a wedding planning binder from her counter. She flipped through pages of vendor contracts and payment schedules, her hands shaking. Look at this, she said, pointing to a budget spreadsheet. Mom showed me this months ago. It lists contributions from different family members. Your name is here for $60,000 marked as voluntary contribution for venue and catering. I studied the document. It looked official with detailed line items and payment dates. Mom had created an elaborate fiction complete with forged financial documentation. I never signed anything, I said. I never agreed to any of this. Madison sank back into her chair, tears filling her eyes. Rose, I swear I had no idea. Mom told me you and Dad and Grandma Helen all wanted to help make my wedding special. She said it was a family tradition that everyone contributed when someone got married. What about Dad and Grandma Helen? Madison wiped her eyes with a tissue. Dad gave Mom his retirement savings, about $40,000. Grandma Helen contributed her emergency fund another $30,000. Mom said you all met and decided together how much everyone would contribute. My stomach dropped. Dad had been living in a modest one-bedroom apartment since his divorce from Mom 5 years ago. His retirement savings were supposed to last him through his golden years. And Grandma Helen, at 83, needed that emergency fund for medical expenses. Madison, we need to call Dad right now. Dad answered on the second ring, his voice tired and strained. Rose, is everything okay? Dad, I need to ask you about Mom and Madison's wedding funding. There was a long pause. What about it? Did you voluntarily give Mom your retirement money? Another pause longer this time. Rose, can we talk about this in person? I'd rather not discuss it over the phone. An hour later, Madison and I sat in Dad's small apartment in Aurora. The space was sparse but clean, furnished with secondhand furniture and thrift store finds. Dad looked older than his 58 years, his hair completely gray, his face lined with worry. "I need to show you something," he said, retrieving a manila folder from his kitchen drawer. "I've been trying to make sense of this for weeks." He spread documents across his small dining table: bank statements, withdrawal slips, transfer authorizations, all bearing Mom's signature, but also signatures that looked like Dad's handwriting. "I never signed these," Dad said, pointing to several withdrawal authorizations. "Patricia forged my signature to access my retirement account. I didn't discover it until after the money was gone." Madison gasped. "Dad, that's fraud." "It gets worse," Dad continued. He pulled out more documents. "These are withdrawal records from your grandmother's savings account. Patricia convinced Helen to sign over power of attorney 6 months ago, supposedly to help manage her finances as she gets older. Instead, Patricia has been systematically draining Helen's accounts." I studied the bank statements. Over the past 6 months, Mom had withdrawn nearly $100,000 from Grandma Helen's various accounts. Small amounts at first, then larger sums as the wedding approached. "Dad, we have to report this," I said. "I've been gathering evidence," he replied. "But there's something else you need to know. Patricia isn't just funding Madison's wedding with stolen money. She's planning something much bigger." He pulled out travel itineraries printed from Mom's email account, flight confirmations, hotel reservations, rental car bookings. "Patricia and some man named Marcus have reservations to fly to Rome the day after Madison's wedding. One-way tickets. They've also transferred money to several offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands." Madison grabbed the papers, studying them with growing alarm. "Who is Marcus, and why would Mom be going to Italy?" "I hired a private investigator," Dad said quietly. "Marcus Delacroix is Patricia's boyfriend. He's been living in a downtown hotel for the past 3 months, and your mother has been paying all his expenses. He has a criminal record in Louisiana for financial fraud and embezzlement." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Mom wasn't just stealing money for Madison's wedding. She was planning to disappear immediately afterward, leaving all of us to deal with the financial and legal consequences. "Madison," I said gently, "does Tyler know about any of this?" Madison shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "Tyler thinks Mom is wealthy from Dad's business success. He has no idea about the divorce settlement or Mom's financial problems. His family is flying in from Connecticut, expecting to meet successful, stable in-laws." Dad reached across the table and squeezed Madison's hand. "Sweetheart, we're going to fix this, but we need to act quickly before your mother and Marcus disappear with everyone's money." I felt a surge of protective anger unlike anything I had ever experienced. Mom had stolen Emma's future, Dad's retirement, Grandma Helen's security, and was about to destroy Madison's marriage before it even began. But she had underestimated the strength of the family she was betraying. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzling, matching my mood perfectly. I stood in my bedroom closet staring at the few dressy outfits I owned. Madison had called the night before, begging me to attend her wedding despite everything. "Please, Rose," she had sobbed into the phone. "I know Mom did terrible things, but this is still my wedding day. Tyler doesn't know anything yet, and I can't bear the thought of you not being there." I had agreed, but I wasn't going to pretend everything was normal. Instead of buying a new dress I couldn't afford, I put on my navy blue nursing scrubs and comfortable white sneakers. If Mom wanted to play games, I would send my own message. The ceremony was held at the Broadmoor Country Club in Colorado Springs, an hour drive from Denver. The venue was breathtaking with manicured gardens and mountain views, exactly the kind of place that cost $50,000 for a single day. I arrived during the cocktail hour and immediately spotted Mom near the entrance greeting guests in an elegant silver dress and matching hat. She looked every inch the successful mother of the bride, accepting congratulations and compliments on the beautiful ceremony. When she saw me approaching in my scrubs, her smile faltered slightly, but she recovered quickly. "Rose, darling." She said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear, "Thank you so much for coming straight from work. Your dedication to helping others is truly inspiring." She was spinning my appearance into another narrative about my admirable work ethic, making it seem like I had rushed from the hospital to attend my sister's wedding. "Where's Emma?" she asked. "At home with a babysitter," I replied, studying for her placement exams. The reception was held in the club's grand ballroom, decorated with thousands of white roses and crystal centerpieces. A 12-piece orchestra played classical music, while waiters served champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Everything was perfect, elegant, and expensive. I found my seat at a table near the back, marked with a place card that read, "Rose Williams, Emergency Services Hero." Even my seating assignment had been turned into praise for my nursing career, as if I were being honored rather than marginalized. During dinner, Mom stood to give a speech. She looked radiant in the soft lighting microphone in hand, commanding the attention of 200 wedding guests. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "today is a celebration of love, but it's also a celebration of family. Madison and Tyler are surrounded by people who love them deeply and have sacrificed to make this day perfect." She gestured toward our family table. "My daughter Rose works tirelessly as a nurse, saving lives every day, yet she found time and resources to contribute significantly to this celebration. My former husband, David, despite our divorce, put aside personal differences to support Madison's happiness. My mother, Helen, at 83 years old, insisted on helping her granddaughter have the wedding of her dreams." The guests applauded enthusiastically. Mom was publicly thanking us for our generous contributions, while knowing she had stolen every penny. "Family means making sacrifices for each other," Mom continued. "It means putting love before personal desires. Today we celebrate not just Madison and Tyler's union, but the bonds that tie families together through generosity, support, and unconditional love." More applause. I sat frozen in my chair watching Mom receive praise for orchestrating the very theft that had devastated our family. After her speech, I needed air. I stepped onto the terrace overlooking the golf course, trying to process the surreal experience of watching my mother being celebrated for crimes she had committed. That's when I overheard a conversation that changed everything. Tyler was standing near the terrace railing with a tall man in an expensive suit. They were speaking quietly, but their voices carried in the evening air. "Dad, I'm worried about Patricia," Tyler was saying. "Some of the financial arrangements seem unusual." "What do you mean, son?" "She insisted on handling all the wedding payments directly, wouldn't let me or Madison deal with any vendors. And she's been asking questions about our family's business interests, investment portfolios, things that seem inappropriate for someone planning a wedding." Tyler's father, Detective Harrison. I learned from their conversation, studied his son's face carefully. "Tyler, has Patricia asked you for any financial information? Bank account numbers, investment details, anything like that?" "Actually, yes. She said she wanted to set up a joint account for Madison as a wedding gift, needed our banking information to coordinate the surprise. I gave her our account numbers yesterday." Detective Harrison's expression darkened. "Son, we need to talk privately, right now." As they moved away from the terrace, I realized Tyler's family was about to discover Mom's true nature, but I also realized something else. Tyler and Madison were scheduled to leave for their honeymoon in Italy tomorrow morning, the same destination where Mom and Marcus had plane tickets. I rushed back inside and found Madison at the bridal table, glowing with happiness as she fed Tyler a bite of wedding cake. The sight of her genuine joy built on a foundation of lies and theft broke my heart. "Madison," I whispered urgently, "I need to talk to you privately." "Rose, not now," she replied, laughing as Tyler wiped frosting from her chin. "This is my wedding reception." "It's about your honeymoon." Something in my tone must have alarmed her, because she immediately stood and followed me to a quiet corner near the kitchen. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Mom and Marcus have tickets to Rome tomorrow, the same day you and Tyler are flying there for your honeymoon." Madison's face went pale. "That's impossible. Mom doesn't even know Marcus." Dad hired a private investigator. Marcus is Mom's boyfriend, and they're planning to meet you in Italy. Madison, I think they're going to try to steal money from Tyler's family while you're on your honeymoon." Before Madison could respond, Tyler appeared beside us, his face grim, and his father close behind. "Madison," Tyler said quietly, "we need to leave now." "What's happening?" Madison asked, confusion and fear evident in her voice. Detective Harrison stepped forward. "Mrs. Madison, I'm afraid your mother may have been involved in financial fraud involving multiple family members. We need to contact the authorities immediately." The perfect wedding was about to become a crime scene investigation. I drove home through the dark Colorado highways, my mind reeling from the evening's revelations. Madison and Tyler had left their own wedding reception early, accompanied by Detective Harrison and 2 FBI agents who had been quietly contacted during the cake cutting. Mom had disappeared sometime during the chaos, claiming she needed to check on catering details. Emma was asleep when I arrived home at nearly midnight. Our babysitter, Mrs. Chen from next door, reported that Emma had spent the evening studying for her advanced placement exams, completely unaware that her entire educational future hung in the balance. I sat at my kitchen table, still wearing my nursing scrubs, trying to process the day's events. In less than 12 hours, my family had gone from wedding celebration to federal investigation. Madison's marriage was beginning under a cloud of criminal suspicion. Dad's retirement was gone. Grandma Helen's life savings had vanished, and Emma's college dreams seemed more impossible than ever. I was making a cup of tea when my phone rang. Dad's number appeared on the screen, and I could hear him sobbing before I even said hello. "Rose," he choked out between tears. "Something terrible has happened." "Dad, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "It's your grandmother. Helen had a heart attack about an hour ago. She's in the ICU at Presbyterian St. Joseph Hospital." My tea mug slipped from my hands and shattered on the kitchen floor. "Oh my God, is she going to be okay?" "The doctors don't know yet. Rose, she found out about the money. Patricia's theft. Helen discovered that her entire life savings was gone when she tried to pay for her heart medication this afternoon. The pharmacy called to say her card was declined, and when she checked her bank balance online, she saw that Patricia had cleaned out every account." I gripped the phone tighter, feeling sick. "Dad, how much did Mom steal from Grandma Helen?" "Everything, Rose. $137,000. Helen's savings, her emergency fund, the money she inherited from your grandfather, even her Social Security payments from the past 6 months. Patricia had power of attorney and used it to systematically drain every account Helen owned." I sank into a chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of Mom's betrayal. Grandma Helen had worked as a school secretary for 40 years, saved every penny, lived frugally to build security for her old age. At 83, she needed that money for medical bills, prescription medications, and basic living expenses. The stress triggered the heart attack. Dad continued, his voice breaking. When Helen realized she had nothing left, that Patricia had stolen her ability to take care of herself, her heart just couldn't handle it. The doctors say emotional shock can be as dangerous as physical trauma in elderly patients. "I'm coming to the hospital," I said, already reaching for my car keys. "Wait, Rose. There's more you need to know. I've been investigating Patricia's finances with that private investigator, and we discovered something horrifying. Patricia doesn't just owe money to banks or credit cards. She owes $250,000 to illegal gambling operations run by dangerous people." I stopped moving. "What kind of dangerous people?" "Loan sharks, Rose. The kind who break legs when people don't pay. Patricia has been gambling online for 3 years, losing massive amounts of money on sports betting, poker games, casino apps. When she couldn't pay her debts, these people started threatening her. They told her she had 30 days to come up with the money or they would hurt her family." The pieces of Mom's behavior suddenly made sense. The desperate theft from multiple family members, the elaborate wedding funding scheme, the plan to flee the country with Marcus. Dad, when was her 30-day deadline? Tomorrow, Rose. Sunday night, the wedding money, your college savings, Helen's life savings, my retirement fund. It was all supposed to pay off Patricia's gambling debts. But now that the FBI is involved, those accounts are frozen. Patricia can't access the money, which means she can't pay the loan sharks. I felt a chill run down my spine. Where is Mom now? We don't know. She disappeared from the wedding reception and hasn't been seen since. Madison and Tyler are in protective custody with the FBI because Detective Harrison believes the loan sharks might target them to get to Patricia. This isn't just about financial fraud anymore, Rose. This is about organized crime and physical danger. I looked toward the stairs where Emma was sleeping peacefully, unaware that our lives had just become infinitely more complicated and dangerous. Dad, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Did Mom ever mention Emma or me specifically in connection with her gambling debts? There was a long pause. Rose, the private investigator, found messages on Patricia's phone. She told the loan sharks that if they gave her more time, she could access additional family money. She mentioned Emma's college fund and said her daughter was a nurse with steady income who could be convinced to help. My blood ran cold. Mom hadn't just stolen Emma's college money. She had put Emma and me on the radar of dangerous criminals who might come looking for additional payments. We need to call the police, I said. I already did. FBI agent Sarah Martinez is coordinating the investigation. She wants to meet with all family members tomorrow morning to discuss protective measures and witness testimony. Rose, they're treating this as a major organized crime case, now not just family financial fraud. I walked to the window and peered through the blinds at our quiet suburban street. Everything looked normal. Kids' bicycles in driveways, porch lights, glowing, peaceful family homes. But somewhere out there, people who had been threatened by Mom's gambling debts might be looking for alternative sources of payment. Dad, I'm scared. I know, sweetheart, but we're going to get through this together. The important thing is that we're all safe and we're telling the truth. Patricia made these choices, not us. We're victims, not accomplices. After hanging up with Dad, I sat in my dark kitchen listening to the house settle around me. Emma was upstairs sleeping, trusting me to keep her safe and secure. But Mom's actions had shattered that security in ways I was only beginning to understand. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Patricia owes us money. We know where you live. Pay your debts or face consequences. I immediately called the FBI number Agent Martinez had given Dad, my hands shaking as I reported the threatening message. This nightmare was far from over, but I was done being a victim of Mom's choices. Agent Sarah Martinez arrived at my house Sunday morning with 2 other FBI agents and a cybersecurity specialist. She was a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor that immediately made me feel safer. Mrs. Williams, we understand this situation is frightening, she said as we sat in my living room while Emma was at her friend's house for safety. But you and your family are not responsible for your mother's debts or criminal activities. Our job is to protect you while we build our case against the organized crime network she became involved with. Agent Martinez spread files across my coffee table. Bank records, phone transcripts, surveillance photos, gambling, website records. The investigation into Mom's activities was far more extensive than I had realized. Your mother's gambling addiction began approximately 3 years ago, Agent Martinez explained. She started with legal online casinos and sports betting sites, but escalated to illegal offshore gambling operations when her losses mounted. These operations are run by a criminal organization based in Las Vegas, with connections to money laundering and loan sharking across multiple states. She showed me printed emails between Mom and someone named Victor Costas, who appeared to be her primary contact with the loan sharks. Patricia borrowed increasingly large amounts from these people, using your family members as collateral for her debts. When she couldn't make payments, she began stealing from family accounts to buy herself more time. But she still owes them money, I asked. $250,000 plus interest and penalties. The organization Patricia borrowed from doesn't forgive debts or accept partial payments. They expect full payment or they collect through other means. Dad arrived with his private investigator, Frank Morrison, a retired police detective who'd been tracking Mom's financial activities for weeks. Frank had additional information that made our situation even more complex. Patricia's boyfriend Marcus is actually Marcus Delacroix, a known associate of Victor Costas, Frank explained. Marcus was sent to Denver specifically to monitor Patricia and ensure she could pay her debts. The romantic relationship was a setup designed to keep tabs on her and identify additional sources of money. Agent Martinez nodded. We believe Marcus was gathering information about your entire family's financial resources, preparing to expand the loan collection efforts if Patricia couldn't pay. What about Emma? I asked, my voice tight with worry. Your daughter is not in immediate danger, but we're taking precautions, Agent Martinez assured me. The threatening text you received last night was designed to intimidate you into voluntary payment, not to indicate imminent harm. Frank pulled out his laptop and showed us surveillance footage from outside Mom's house. We've been monitoring Patricia's residence since yesterday. She returned home briefly this morning, packed several suitcases, and left again with Marcus. They're preparing to flee, but we don't know their destination yet. What about Madison and Tyler? They're safe, Agent Martinez said. Detective Harrison contacted us immediately when he became suspicious of your mother's behavior at the wedding. Madison and Tyler are in protective custody until we can assess the full scope of the threat. Over the next several hours, the agents explained how they wanted to proceed. They needed detailed statements from Dad Grandma Helen when she recovered enough to talk, and me about Mom's theft activities. They also wanted to use our family as bait to draw Mom and Marcus out of hiding. We believe Patricia will try to contact family members to demand additional money, Agent Martinez explained. When she does, we want to be ready to trace the call and locate her. What about the people she owes money to? Dad asked. Victor Costas and his organization are our primary target, Agent Martinez replied. Your mother's case gives us an opportunity to build a federal case against a criminal network that has been operating across state lines for years. Patricia's cooperation could help us shut down their entire operation. Frank Morrison had one more surprise for us. He pulled out a manila envelope filled with additional documents. While investigating Patricia's finances, I discovered she's been using Emma's social security number to open credit card accounts, he said. Your daughter's credit has been severely damaged by fraudulent accounts your mother opened in her name. I felt sick. Emma is only 14. How is that even possible? Identity theft targeting minors is increasingly common because children don't monitor their credit reports, Agent Martinez explained. We'll help you file the necessary reports to restore Emma's credit, but it's going to take time to undo the damage. As the agents prepared to leave, Agent Martinez gave me a direct phone number and a small tracking device to carry in my purse. If your mother contacts you, activate this device and keep her talking as long as possible, she instructed. Don't agree to meet her alone and don't promise to pay any money. We need to catch her attempting to extort additional funds from family members to strengthen our case. After the FBI left, Dad and I sat in my kitchen trying to process everything we had learned. Our family wasn't just dealing with theft and fraud anymore. We were caught in the middle of a federal investigation involving organized crime money laundering and interstate criminal activity. Rose, Dad said quietly, I want you to know how proud I am of how you're handling this situation. You could have stayed quiet and tried to protect yourself, but instead you're fighting to make sure Patricia faces consequences for what she's done. I keep thinking about Emma, I replied. She's been saving her babysitting money for college, earning $15 at a time watching the neighbors' kids. She doesn't know that Mom destroyed her credit before she even understands what credit means. Dad reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Emma is lucky to have you as her mother. You're teaching her that when someone tries to hurt your family, you fight back. That evening, Emma came home from her friend's house and found me in the kitchen surrounded by FBI paperwork and legal documents. I'd been dreading this conversation, but I knew she deserved to know the truth. Mom, what's going on? She asked, settling into the chair across from me. Mrs. Chen said there were FBI agents here today. I took a deep breath and told Emma everything. The stolen college fund, Mom's gambling addiction, the threatening messages, the ongoing federal investigation. Emma listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each detail. When I finished, Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood up and walked to her bedroom, returning with a small wooden box I had never seen before. "I've been saving money for college since I was 10, she said, opening the box to reveal carefully organized bills and coins. "I know it's not much, but I have $347. If it helps catch Grandma Patricia and get our money back, you can use it." I stared at my daughter's college savings earned $15 at a time through babysitting, dog walking, and helping neighbors with yard work. Emma had been building her future while Mom was destroying it. "Keep your money, sweetheart," I said, pulling Emma into a hug. "But thank you for offering it. You've just shown me that you inherited the best parts of our family, not the worst." Monday morning brought the call we had been expecting. Agent Martinez contacted me at 6 a.m. to report that Mom and Marcus had been spotted at Denver International Airport attempting to board a flight to Miami with fake passports. They were arrested during security screening, Agent Martinez explained. Patricia is being charged with federal fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy charges. Marcus faces additional charges related to his criminal history and association with the loan shark operation. The relief I felt was overwhelming, but Agent Martinez quickly tempered my celebration. "This is just the beginning, Mrs. Williams. We need Patricia to cooperate with our investigation into Victor Costas and his organization. That means she needs to provide detailed information about her gambling debts, her communications with the loan sharks, and any threats they made against your family." 3 hours later, Dad and I sat in a conference room at the Federal Building downtown, separated from Mom by a thick glass partition. She looked haggard and desperate. Her wedding makeup smeared her silver dress, wrinkled from spending the night in jail. Agent Martinez sat beside us as we spoke to Mom through the intercom system. "Patricia, you've been charged with multiple federal crimes," Agent Martinez began. "Wire fraud, identity theft, elder abuse, and conspiracy. You're facing up to 20 years in federal prison." Mom stared at the table, refusing to make eye contact with Dad or me. "However," Agent Martinez continued, "if you cooperate fully with our investigation into Victor Costas and his criminal organization, the prosecutor may consider reduced charges." "What kind of cooperation?" Mom asked, her voice barely audible. "We need you to tell us everything about your gambling debts, your contacts with the loan sharks, and any plans they made to collect money from your family members." For the next 2 hours, Mom provided a detailed confession that was both shocking and heartbreaking. Her gambling addiction had begun after Dad's divorce, when she felt lonely and bored. What started as $20 bets on sports games escalated into $1,000 poker sessions and high-stakes casino games. "I kept thinking I could win back what I had lost," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Every time I lost money, I borrowed more to try to break even. Before I knew it, I owed more than I could ever repay with my income." She described how Victor Costas' organization operated using sophisticated psychological manipulation to keep gamblers borrowing more money. When Mom couldn't make payments, they threatened her physical safety, then began targeting family members. "They told me they would hurt Madison at her wedding if I didn't pay by Sunday night," Mom confessed. "That's when I decided to steal Emma's college money. I convinced myself it was a loan that I would pay it back after Madison was safely married." "What about Grandma Helen's money?" I asked. Mom's shoulders shook with sobs. "I never meant for Helen to get hurt. The loan sharks said if I could bring them $200,000 by Sunday, they would consider my debt settled. I thought Helen's money would complete the payment and keep everyone safe." Agent Martinez leaned forward. "Patricia, did Victor Costas or his associates ever mention plans to collect money directly from your family members?" "Yes," Mom whispered. "They had detailed information about Rose's nursing salary, Emma's social security number, even David's divorce settlement. They said if I couldn't pay, they would collect from my family members by force." The confession continued for another hour, with Mom providing phone numbers, bank account details, and meeting locations used by the criminal organization. By the time we finished, Agent Martinez had enough information to coordinate a multi-state investigation. Outside the federal building, Dad and I walked to his car in stunned silence. After months of wondering how Mom could betray her own family, we finally had answers. She hadn't started as a criminal. She had become one gradually making increasingly desperate choices to escape an impossible situation. "I feel sorry for her," Dad said as we drove toward the hospital to visit Grandma Helen. "I do too," I admitted. "But feeling sorry for her doesn't excuse what she did to Emma to you to Grandma Helen." Grandma Helen was awake and alert when we arrived at the ICU. The heart attack had weakened her, but her spirit remained strong. When we explained Mom's arrest and the ongoing investigation, she listened with remarkable composure. "I've been thinking about this situation," Grandma Helen said, her voice soft but determined. "Patricia made terrible choices, but she's still my daughter. However, Emma is my granddaughter, and she deserves a chance at education and success." She reached for my hand with surprising strength. "Rose, I want to change my will. Everything I have left after Patricia stole from me should go toward Emma's college fund. It's not much anymore, but it's something." "Grandma Helen, you don't need to do that." "Yes, I do," she insisted. "Family means protecting the next generation, not enabling the mistakes of the current one." That evening, Madison and Tyler returned from protective custody, and we gathered at Dad's apartment to discuss next steps. Madison looked exhausted and emotionally drained, but Tyler seemed surprisingly optimistic. "My father has contacts in the financial recovery field," Tyler explained. "Detective Harrison believes we can recover 60 to 70% of the stolen money through asset forfeiture and restitution orders. It won't be immediate, but it's realistic." Madison pulled me aside while Tyler and Dad discussed legal strategies. "Rose, I need to apologize," she said. "I should have questioned Mom's story about the wedding funding. I should have insisted on talking to you directly before accepting such a large gift. I was so excited about having a perfect wedding that I didn't ask the hard questions." "Madison, you were manipulated by someone you trusted," I replied. "That's not your fault." "I want to make this right," Madison continued. "Tyler and I have decided to return our wedding gifts and use that money to help restore Emma's college fund. We also want to set up a GoFundMe page to tell our story and ask for community support." "You don't need to do that." "Yes, we do. Mom used our wedding as cover for her crimes. We need to take responsibility for that and help fix what she broke." 6 months later, I sat in the federal courthouse watching Mom receive her sentence. She had pled guilty to all charges and cooperated fully with the FBI investigation, leading to the arrest of Victor Costas and 12 members of his criminal organization across 4 states. Judge Helen Morrison sentenced Mom to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised probation and full restitution to all family victims. The judge praised Mom's cooperation with law enforcement, but emphasized that her crimes had devastated multiple families and endangered innocent people. Mrs. Williams. Judge Morrison said, "Your gambling addiction does not excuse your decision to steal from your own family members, including your elderly mother and your granddaughter's education fund. However, your assistance in dismantling a criminal organization that has harmed many families will be reflected in your sentence." During the restitution hearing, we learned that federal agents had recovered nearly $200,000 through asset forfeiture, frozen bank accounts, and seized property. Combined with insurance claims and victim compensation funds, Emma would recover 93% of her original college savings. Madison and Tyler's GoFundMe campaign had raised an additional $18,000 from community members moved by Emma's story. Local news coverage of Mom's crimes had sparked conversations about gambling addiction and family financial protection, leading to policy changes at several area banks. Emma, now 15, had used the experience as motivation to excel academically. Her grades improved dramatically, and she began volunteering at a financial literacy nonprofit, teaching other teenagers about protecting their credit and savings accounts. "I learned that bad things can happen to good families," Emma told a reporter from the Denver Post. "But I also learned that good people fight back when someone tries to hurt their family." The most surprising development came from Tyler's family connections. Detective Harrison's brother was a scholarship coordinator at Columbia University in New York. When he heard Emma's story, he offered her a full academic scholarship if she maintained her current grades and completed specific community service requirements. Emma reminds me of students who overcome adversity through determination rather than self-pity, the scholarship coordinator explained. Those are the students who make the biggest impact on campus and in their careers. Grandma Helen recovered fully from her heart attack and moved into a small apartment near our house. At 84, she became Emma's fiercest advocate and study partner, helping with homework and sharing stories about overcoming hardship during the Great Depression. Every generation faces challenges, Grandma Helen often told Emma. Your generation's challenge is learning to protect yourselves from people who use technology and manipulation to steal your security. You're learning that lesson early, which makes you stronger than most. Dad received a promotion at his construction company and moved to a larger apartment with a guest room for Emma. The shared trauma of Mom's betrayal had strengthened our family bonds rather than destroying them. We began having weekly family dinners, something we had never done consistently before. Madison and Tyler used their experience to create a nonprofit organization helping families affected by gambling addiction and financial fraud. They provided support groups, legal referrals, and educational workshops about recognizing and preventing financial manipulation. We realized our wedding became the backdrop for a crime, Madison explained during a speaking engagement. But we decided to use that experience to help other families avoid what we went through. The most meaningful change was in my relationship with Emma. The crisis had forced us to communicate openly about money, trust, family loyalty, and personal responsibility. Emma began asking thoughtful questions about our family finances and learning to budget her babysitting income. "Mom," she said one evening as we reviewed her scholarship application, "I'm glad this happened." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm glad I learned that families aren't automatically safe just because they're related to you. I know now that I need to protect myself and verify information even from people I love. That's going to make me stronger when I'm an adult." I looked at my daughter, now taller than me and wise beyond her 15 years, and realized she was absolutely right. Mom's betrayal had taught Emma lessons about self-protection and critical thinking that would serve her for life. On the anniversary of Mom's arrest, Emma and I visited her in federal prison. Mom looked older and thinner, but she seemed genuinely remorseful about her actions. "Emma," Mom said through the glass partition, "I want you to know that stealing your college money was the worst thing I've ever done. Not because it was the most illegal, but because it hurt the person I should have been protecting." Emma listened thoughtfully before responding. "Grandma Patricia, I forgive you because I understand that addiction made you make bad choices. But I also learned that forgiving someone doesn't mean trusting them again. I hope you get better, but I also hope you understand why I need to protect myself from you." Mom nodded, tears in her eyes. "That's exactly what I hope you learned, Emma. Don't trust people just because they're family. Trust people because they've earned it through consistent, honest behavior." As we drove home from the prison, Emma turned to me with a question that showed how much she had matured. "Mom, do you think Grandma Patricia would have stopped stealing from us if we hadn't caught her?" I considered the question carefully. "No, sweetheart. I think she would have kept escalating until she destroyed our entire family's financial security. Addiction doesn't get better on its own. It requires intervention consequences and professional help. So catching her actually saved her life, not just our money. I think you're right about that." Emma smiled, the first genuine smile she had shown during our prison visit. "Then I'm glad we fought back instead of just accepting what she did to us." That night, I reflected on the lessons our family had learned through this devastating experience. We discovered that love without boundaries enables destructive behavior. We learned that protecting someone from consequences actually prevents them from getting the help they need. Most importantly, we realized that families grow stronger when built on honesty and accountability rather than blind loyalty and financial dependence. Emma's college fund was not only restored, but strengthened. Her scholarship opportunities had multiplied. Her character had been tested and proven resilient. The experience that could have destroyed her future had instead prepared her for adult responsibilities and challenges. As I tucked Emma into bed now, a routine we had maintained throughout the crisis, she asked one final question. "Mom, if someone tries to hurt our family again, will you fight back the same way?" "Absolutely," I replied without hesitation. But more importantly, you now know how to protect yourself. You understand your worth, your rights, and your strength. That's the most valuable education any parent can give their child. Emma smiled and closed her eyes, secure in the knowledge that she was loved, protected, and prepared for whatever challenges life might bring. The greatest gift Mom's betrayal gave us wasn't the money we recovered or the justice we achieved. It was the knowledge that our family's strength came not from avoiding conflict, but from facing it together with truth, courage, and unwavering commitment to protecting those we love. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most teach us the most valuable lessons about who we really are and what we're truly capable of surviving. I hope this story helps you think about your own family relationships and financial security. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and protecting yourself or your children? How do you balance forgiveness with necessary boundaries? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from hearing about standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Thank you for listening to our story, and remember that your strength is often discovered in the moments when you think you have none left.